The story begins on a remote and dangerous world cataloged as VX-471, a Class 9 death world known for its unstable weather, aggressive flora, and hyperlethal fauna. A joint expedition between humans and the alien Valari species, a cautious, highly logical race known for their strict adherence to protocol and risk minimization, is sent to explore the planet for rare biochemical resources. Among the human contingent is Dr. Marin Hale, an exozoologist and behaviorist whose specialty is studying alien fauna, particularly predators. She's known for her unorthodox approach and has a reputation for getting a little too close to dangerous creatures. The Valari, led by Commander Vishal, find her methods reckless and emotionally driven, a trait they generally view as a weakness of humans. While surveying a dense jungle region, the team comes across a large predator lying in a shallow ravine. It's wounded, deep lacerations across its flank, one eye swollen shut and breathing raggedly. The Valari immediately identify it using their database, a Nyrexian stalker, one of the deadliest known lifeforms on the planet, responsible for the deaths of multiple Valari scouts during earlier missions. Standard protocol dictates immediate elimination from a safe distance. Commander Vishal gives the order: prepare plasma lances and incinerate the beast before it regains strength. But before the order can be carried out, Dr. Hale intervenes. She steps forward, scanning the predator with a med tool. Despite the Valari's protests, she notes the absence of territorial behavior and finds no signs of aggression. It's dying, not hunting. She insists it poses no threat in its current condition. The Valari are baffled and alarmed. To them, compassion toward such a dangerous creature is not only illogical, it's potentially suicidal. Commander Vishal warns Hale that if she proceeds, she does so against express recommendations and assumes full responsibility for any consequences. Hale shrugs this off, saying, "He's hurt. He's scared. That's not evil. It's just survival." Against the Valari's stunned silence, she begins cleaning and stitching the creature's wounds with field-grade nanogel. She carefully injects sedatives and painkillers, murmuring soothing words the entire time. The predator, although massive and capable of ripping her in half, barely twitches, perhaps too weak to fight, perhaps sensing her intentions. The Valari interpret this behavior as a kind of ritual, a sacred act of mercy that only humans dare to perform. Some of the younger Valari researchers begin theorizing that humans may possess unknown psychological influence over hostile life forms. After all, there have been unconfirmed reports of similar human-animal interactions on other colonies, but those were often dismissed as anecdotal or exaggerated. The Valari scientific mind struggles to comprehend Hale's actions. Mercy, in their culture, is strictly limited to sentient beings and only under formal treaties. Hale's behavior represents something different, an emotional bond between predator and prey, or so they think. As she finishes treating the creature, it opens its remaining eye and looks directly at her. There's a long pause. The Valari ready? Their weapons convinced it will attack, but it doesn't. Instead, it exhales slowly and lowers its head into the dirt, an action they interpret as submission. Dr. Hale sits back, wipes her brow, and says matter-of-factly, "You're going to make it, big guy." The Valari quietly record the event, unsure whether they've just witnessed insanity or something revolutionary. Hale requests permission to remain with the predator during recovery, which causes a mild panic among the Valari team. They eventually allow it, if only to observe what happens next, and with full emergency response teams on standby. That night, the Valari set up additional surveillance, analyzing the predator's vitals, micro-expressions, and bodily cues. Hale remains by its side, whispering to it, feeding it small pieces of cooked protein, and even stroking its snout gently. The creature doesn't lash out. In fact, it shows signs of calmness and reduced stress levels when she is near. Commander Vishal files a report with the Valari High Council, attaching a preliminary thesis: human compassion as a tool for pacifying apex threats. Initial field observations. Meanwhile, Dr. Hale just updates her personal log. Found a wounded stray, possibly trainable, big teeth, seems to like jerky. The seeds of misunderstanding are planted. The Valari believe they've just seen the raw power of human compassion. Hale, on the other hand, just thinks she's found a cool new pet. In the days following the initial encounter, the dynamics of the expedition shift in unexpected and, to the Valari, unnerving ways. The Predator, now affectionately called Grim by Dr. Marin Hale, begins to recover with astonishing speed. Between the nanogel treatments, protein rations, and Hale's consistent attention, the once dying Nyrexian stalker regains its strength and vitality. This alone surprises the Valari, who had assumed such a creature could only survive in the wild, fueled by rage and instinct. Seeing it heal under human care contradicts everything they know about predatory behavior. As Grim recovers, he becomes more active but not aggressive. He doesn't flee back into the jungle or lash out at nearby crew. Instead, he follows Hale, not just occasionally, but constantly. If she moves to the med tent, he drags himself there. If she walks to the nearby observation outpost, he limps behind her and lies at her feet. If she sleeps, he curls up near her shelter, eyes trained outward like a guard dog. To the humans on the expedition, especially Hale's fellow scientists, this is odd, but not entirely surprising. Earth has a long history of domesticating dangerous animals. Wolves into dogs, wildcats into house cats. There's precedent for creatures bonding with those who feed and care for them. Dr. Hale even jokes about it, saying, "Congratulations, Grim, you're officially a rescue case." But to the Valari, this development is alarming. Commander Vishal watches this behavior unfold with growing unease. The Valari do not domesticate animals. Their evolutionary path taught them caution and avoidance. Apex predators were always threats to be avoided or eradicated, never approached. To see a creature that should be a walking death machine now lying peacefully beside a human is both deeply disturbing and, at least to some Valari observers, profoundly fascinating. Some begin to suggest that perhaps humans have a deeper connection to the predatory instinct than previously understood. Others theorize that Hale must be using subtle neural manipulation, perhaps pheromones, or an unknown form of low-frequency communication. One Valari sociologist proposes that humans may emit emotional resonance fields, unknowingly influencing hostile life forms. Naturally, Hale laughs at these theories when she hears them. "He's not mind-controlled," she says. "He's just smart enough to know who's helping him. Animals do that." But the Valari don't buy it. They watch as Grim starts responding to commands, rudimentary ones at first. Stay. Down. No. He even begins recognizing Hale's tone of voice. When she's stern, he backs off. When she's calm, he approaches. The Valari begin to catalog every interaction, now convinced that something incredible is unfolding. The term preda-bonding is coined in the Valari data logs to describe the process they believe they're witnessing: the creation of a functional social bond between predator and foreign caretaker through sustained emotional transference. Meanwhile, Grim continues to grow stronger and closer. His wounds heal, muscle returns to his frame, and his natural camouflage begins to shift more actively in response to surroundings. A trait Valari biologists had previously believed could only be triggered by heightened stress or hunting states. Yet here it is, activating when Grim follows Hale into dense foliage, as if protecting her from being seen. To the Valari, this further supports their hypothesis that the human has induced a symbiotic behavioral shift, perhaps even awakened dormant social instincts in a creature once thought purely solitary. To Hale, it's just further proof that Grim's a big old softy under all that fang and muscle. Tension grows when Grimm begins showing protectiveness. One Valari technician gets too close to Hale's pack, and Grimm lets out a low, warning growl. Not an attack, but enough to make the Valari backpedal in fear. Hale scolds him lightly, telling him to be nice, and Grimm immediately lies down. Again. This moment is recorded from 3 different angles and reviewed by the Valari Scientific Council on the expedition. They conclude that the human has either created a controllable biological weapon or formed a psychological master-pet bond that allows her to suppress the creature's violent instincts. Either way, the implications are staggering. The Valari now begin debating policy implications. Should humans be restricted from interacting with dangerous fauna on shared planets? Should Valari military forces investigate the possibility of human-led predator, taming as a form of unconventional warfare? Hale, unaware of this galaxy-spanning panic, is busy teaching Grimm how to sit on command using bits of dried meat. In her daily log, she writes, "Grimm followed me around the whole day, started recognizing voice cues. Might be able to teach him tricks. Valari look worried. I think they're scared of a cuddle monster." For the Valari, what they see is beyond comprehension. To them, it's not domestication. It's dominion over death. And this, they realize, is only the beginning. As Grimm's recovery stabilizes and his attachment to Dr. Marin Hale becomes unmistakable, the already fragile understanding between the humans and the Valari begins to strain under the weight of cultural misinterpretation. What the humans view as a quirky, if slightly risky, bonding experience with an intelligent creature, the Valari see as something vastly more profound and dangerous. Grimm is no longer just Hale's shadow. He's become an active presence in daily operations. He sits calmly outside meeting tents, accompanies scouting parties, but only if Hale is with them, and patrols the edge of the camp at night. His behavior is eerily disciplined, as if he were a trained sentinel. In truth, Hale has simply been reinforcing good behavior with food, tone, and physical gestures, basic animal training. But the Valari don't understand the simplicity of this dynamic. To them, it appears calculated, controlled, tactical. Commander Vishal secretly authorizes a full socio-cultural analysis of Hale's interactions with Grimm and the Valari xenopsychology. Team begins assembling a report titled Human Emotional Control Systems as a Method of Behavioral Override in Apex Hostiles. Their working theory? Humans possess a latent psychological ability to dominate hostile life forms through projected empathy, an evolutionary trait that allowed their species to survive on their own Class 8 death world, Earth. Meanwhile, Hale is busy teaching Grimm to fetch a modified drone component she jokingly calls his training frisbee. She logs her successes like a proud pet owner, completely oblivious to the waves of paranoia rippling through her alien allies. One afternoon, a small group of Valari scientists approach Hale, requesting to observe her ritual bonding sessions. She blinks at them, confused, then laughs. "You mean training? Sure, but I'm out of jerky, so it won't be a long show." The Valari dutifully record every moment of the session. When Grimm sits, lies down, rolls partially on his side at a hand gesture, and growls on command, several of the Valari actually recoil. One faints. Another whispers to Vishal. She commands death through affection. Hale doesn't help the misunderstanding. She often speaks to Grimm like a pet, calling him a good boy, scratching his jaw ridge, and using affectionate baby talk tones. But to the Valari, who have no analogous linguistic style, these tonal shifts seem like coded signals, an advanced form of emotional programming. One Valari linguist proposes that Hale is using what they term empathic harmonics, theorizing that the tone itself may rewire the predator's neural responses. By this point, the Valari have completely rewritten the narrative. Dr. Hale isn't a quirky scientist who found a wild beast and got lucky. She's a psychological manipulator with a terrifying natural gift. News spreads. The High Council of Valari begins to circulate classified warnings among other species in the Confederation. Rumors fly that humans have weaponized kindness, that they can pacify or even brainwash the most dangerous creatures with mere tone and food. No one can confirm it, but they all fear it. On the human side, things remain far less dramatic. Hale receives a standard check-in from Earth Command, asking for biological updates and planetary samples. She includes a few images of Grimm, casually noting, "He's bonded well. I think we're past the biting phase." The Valari intercept one such image, a shot of Grimm lying beside Hale, head resting on her lap as she reads a tablet. To them, it's chilling. The predator has not only submitted, it appears content, at peace. In the Valari worldview, this is equivalent to watching a hurricane curl up and purr. Commander Vishal finally confronts Hale. "You must tell me," he demands, "what technique you use. Empathic control, neural frequency mimicry, pheromone broadcasting, how have you rewritten the nature of violence?" Hale, chewing dried fruit, stares at him. "I gave him snacks and a name, that's it. You named the beast?" "He's not a beast, he's just Grimm." Vishal returns to his tent and begins composing a confidential recommendation to the Galactic Biosecurity Council. His conclusion is grim, pun unintended. If humans can pacify apex predators with nothing more than attention and affection, we must reevaluate their classification not as a cooperative species, but as a soft domination threat vector. Hale, meanwhile, is busy tying together a makeshift rope toy from expedition gear. She plans to teach Grimm tug-of-war next. By the time Grimm is fully mobile, well-fed, and comfortably trailing Dr. Marin Hale like an oversized shadow, the ripples of concern stirred among the Valari have turned into waves crashing across the galactic Confederation. The Valari's preliminary report, Human Emotional Control Systems as a Method of Behavioral Override in Apex Hostiles, is now in the hands of over 24 species councils. Some are skeptical, others intrigued, and few are flat-out terrified. The thought that humans, a relatively new species in the galactic fold, might possess an undocumented ability to tame hostile fauna has turned the diplomatic spotlight squarely onto Earth. Within weeks, Confederation intelligence agencies begin quietly assembling case studies. Archived footage of humans calming feral beasts on other colonized worlds, once dismissed as anecdotal or exceptional, is now reanalyzed under this new lens. Videos of Earth's animal rescue teams wrangling aggressive wounded creatures with patience and care are examined frame by frame. Behavioral logs of humans forming bonds with massive aquatic predators, flying scavengers, and even hostile silicon-based life forms are now flagged as evidence. The phrase compassion weaponization starts appearing in confidential memos. Meanwhile, Hale is oblivious to the building storm. Her only worry is running low on meat rations for Grimm, who's now big enough to make lap pet, less of a literal concept and more of an unintentional body crush. Grimm still growls at strangers, but backs off when Hale says no, and he's learned to sit at her side without command, his massive body curled like a vigilant sentinel. The humans in the expedition camp have adjusted to Grimm's presence, treating him like a quirky mascot. One engineer even builds a custom collar for him using spare components. It has a tracker, biometric sensor, and, at Hale's insistence, a nameplate. Grimm in big, bold letters. Hale finds it adorable. The Valari find it chilling. When the Valari see the collar, they believe it's a form of dominance branding. Some even speculate it's a psychological trigger used to reinforce control over the predator. A sub-theory develops. Name binding, the idea that giving a name locks a creature into psychological submission. Back on Valar Prime, the High Council convenes an emergency session. The consensus is clear. If humans can convert apex threats into obedient allies, this represents not just a biological anomaly, but a military edge. Military advisors begin asking dangerous questions. Could humans pacify war beasts used by other species? Could they steal bioweapons through kindness? Could they build armies of monsters simply by being nice to them? And worse, is this intentional? Have humans been hiding this ability behind their reputation for empathy and adaptability? Is it a strategy? Suddenly, diplomatic channels are flooded with urgent queries. Earth receives encrypted messages from several governments asking about their predator management protocols. The human galactic ambassador, who has no clue what anyone is talking about, forwards the messages to the Department of Xenospecies Relations. They forward it to Marin Hale's research division. She opens one message, frowns, and mutters, "What do they mean? Confirm species-to-predator emotional control algorithm." Hale begins to suspect something is off when she receives a call from Earth Command. They want a full report on Grimm, including behavioral changes, feeding logs, and video evidence of all training sessions. She obliges but includes a strongly worded note. He's a pet, not a prototype. At the same time, Grimm inadvertently escalates tensions. During a routine night patrol, he intercepts a native predator creeping toward the camp. Without Hale's command, Grimm engages and kills it, then drags the body to the camp's edge like a trophy. The Valari guards, awoken by the noise, rush outside to find Grimm standing calmly, blood dripping from his jaw, tail swishing behind him like a pleased canine. To Hale, "Good boy, but next time, don't leave it by the tents." To the Valari, a chilling revelation. It now defends human territory unprompted. The Valari science team quietly updates their files, adding a new term, autonomous pack alignment. Grimm no longer needs direct orders to act in defense of his pack. He has internalized loyalty to the human. A leaked version of the Valari's classified report eventually reaches a fringe news network in the Confederation. The headline spreads like wildfire. Humans can tame death. Apex predators obey their kindness. Public debate explodes. Some call for restrictions on human-animal interactions. Others want access to this technology. A few propose joint training programs, blissfully unaware they're asking to learn how to pet wild monsters. In the middle of all this, Hale is writing a casual update to Earth. Grimm's getting faster, stronger too. Might have to reinforce the shelter walls. Soon he gets the zoomies after dusk. She ends the note with a picture. Grimm flopped on his side, belly up, tongue lolling, next to a clearly exasperated Valari technician holding a translator pad. To the galaxy, this is a military revolution. To Hale, it's just another day with her oversized rescue pet. As interstellar paranoia surrounding humanity's alleged ability to tame apex predators reaches a fever pitch, Dr. Marin Hale finds herself at the center of an accidental galactic controversy. What started as an act of simple compassion, feeding a wounded creature, has spiraled into widespread speculation that humanity possesses a dangerous, untraceable form of emotional control. But now, the moment of reckoning has come. The Valari Council sends an elite diplomatic delegation to the expedition site, led by High Arbitrator Kal Shar, a stoic figure rarely seen outside of Valar Prime. Their mission, confront Hale directly, extract the truth, and determine whether humanity is hiding a form of biotechnological dominance that could upend the galactic balance of power. They arrive with ceremonial gravity, flanked by analysts, legal experts, and 2 biocontainment squads. In case the creature cannot be restrained, Grimm, as usual, greets the newcomers by stretching, yawning, and padding lazily over to Hale's side to nuzzle her hand for a treat. The Valari freeze, the images damning in their eyes, a living weapon awaiting its human command. Hale stands, from her field chair, brushing dirt from her pants. Can I help you? She asks, completely unaware that over a dozen interstellar governments are waiting for her answer. Kal Shar steps forward. You will explain how you have subjugated the Nyrexian stalker, he says solemnly. You will surrender the methodology and any genetic modifications applied. If not, we will consider this an undeclared act of species-level enhancement warfare. There is a long pause. Hale blinks, then laughs. Wait, what? Kal Shar does not laugh. Realizing the gravity of the situation, Hale gestures to a nearby log bench. Okay, sit. Let me explain this the only way I know how. She tosses Grim a chunk of rehydrated meat and begins walking the delegation through every step of her interaction with the creature. The day she found him, how she treated his wounds, how he followed her, how she fed him consistently, talked to him gently, and scolded him when he got too rough. She explains the training methods, tone, repetition, food rewards, the name, the collar, the scratches behind the jaw ridge. Nothing more than the same tactics dog owners on Earth have used for thousands of years. She concludes simply, he's not controlled, he's cared for. He trusts me because I helped him when he was dying. That's it. The Volari are silent. Kal Shar is clearly struggling. But the obedience, the defense, the loyalty. Yes, Hale says. That's called bonding. You help something, you feed it, you build trust. It learns that you're safe. It wants to be near you. We call it being a pet. You consider this beast a pet? Absolutely. He's a good boy. As if on cue, Grim thumps his tail. The absurdity of it is too much for some of the Volari. One analyst drops her stylus. Another mutters, no pheromones? No cerebral override? Hale shakes her head. Nope, just jerky and patience. Kal Shar paces, visibly unsettled. Then this is not a tactical system, not a covert biological weapon? Hale lifts an eyebrow. You think we're out here, adopting monsters on purpose? This isn't a program. It's just something humans do. We form bonds, sometimes even with things that can bite our arms off. At last, the realization sinks in for the Volari. There is no master plan, no secret technique, no evolutionary trick, just a trait so mundane to humans it wasn't even considered special, empathy. The report the Volari eventually release shocks the Confederation not because of its science, but because of its simplicity. The final line reads, humans do not tame through dominance. They befriend through care. It is not a weapon. It is their nature. The interstellar community is forced to reframe its understanding of humanity. The terrifying possibility isn't that humans can control predators. It's that predators willingly want to follow them. And worse, that humans welcome them. In the weeks that follow, memes explode across the Confederation data web. Fear the humans. They'll love your monsters. Humans, making death cuddly since Earth Year, 10,000. A popular holovid even dramatizes the story, showing Hale walking through alien jungles as beasts of every shape and size follow in her wake. Back at the camp, Hale receives a formal apology from the Volari delegation. They offer her a medal for interstellar behavioral advancement. She turns it down and asks instead for more meat rations, for Grim. In her final expedition log, she writes, apparently the galaxy thinks I'm some kind of beast whisperer. Honestly, I just like animals. Grim likes snacks and chin rubs. I don't see what the big deal is. And somewhere deep in the jungle, another wounded predator watches Hale from the shadows, then takes a cautious step forward, because to predators across the galaxy, there is now a legend of the human who feeds the fangs.